What's up, YouTube? Now it's time. We're going to get into the movie The Perfect Storm. Now, this is actually a movie I have been watching the past few days. I really enjoy this movie. I think it's definitely very well made, and it definitely takes a heavy topic. Because we're talking about this fishing community in Massachusetts, and Gloucester's been traditionally a fishing community for hundreds of years. And this is a very ancient and dangerous job that has always been, like quick money for some people and very dangerous for others. And, you have a lot of accidents. So, basically, he lives paycheck to paycheck. And those people pretty much have, they live, if they can't fish, they can't eat. And so it's like, they do all that work and sometimes they don't catch very much because a lot of the fish stocks are overfished. And so in this movie, he goes way out to sea, like miles, maybe even 1,000 miles out, so far out, just to catch these swordfish. That he is in a remote place, but he ends up at the wrong place at the wrong time. And, this is basically a huge storm. And then you see, these other people that are in this boat. And this guy is so stubborn, he just sets the course. He doesn't even look at the weather or conditions. He doesn't ever look at, whether you have variation and you might have certain deviations. And you've got to calculate on paper before you to plot a course. And if this guy's not doing that, he could be over here when he's supposed to be there. And, people can get drifted over. And so you had a bad seaman. Whereas the guy in this fishing boat was a very good one. The bad seaman survived, but the very good seaman with all of his crew went down with the ship because they weren't able to be reached. And because the radio and everything went out in their boat, and pretty much, they were stuck in the middle of nowhere all of a sudden. But, this becomes a very good movie. Because what we see in this movie is, you have a crew, and these are scrappy guys. They don't always get along, but they always team up as a good team to get the job done. And you see how, like Sully and that one guy always were fighting. But then all of a sudden something happened and Sully just jumped in there. Sully was a great guy to have in the boat. He was very quick to respond to stuff. And, you saw his ethic too, as the movie went on. You started to see him differently. And, the whole crew overall, like when that one guy ended up freaking out, went downstairs, was like, we got to turn back. And then the captain kind of toughened them up and said, no, we're not. We're going to keep going. And then when they got the fish, and then they were so excited about that, and they were so stuck on turning back. But it became a nightmare because they ended up in trouble. And so, that's basically one of the big problems in this situation where, you get people in a very dangerous profession where you get these boats that can go out in very rough waters, very cold waters, like lobster fishing off the coast of Alaska is the most dangerous job. Or, crab fishing. That's what I meant to say, lobsters in Maine. But, you have, you could have huge swells, not like 60-degree waves. They go over the boat. You have, 30-degree below zero weather with huge wind chill. And so, it's a very dangerous profession. This movie depicts what people go through to catch the fish. And, the people that go through the grunt of the labor. And a lot of times they go out there, they get their boat full of fuel, and they only catch a very limited supply, and then they can't do anything. And that's one of the big things this movie shows. And we see that and as they develop the characters, which is actually a plus in this movie. The characters were actually quite well developed, and they did a good job of depicting everything. And, pretty much the movie doesn't feel lacking. It's actually a quite well done movie, and you see, as at the end of the movie, he is, his stubbornness, and he's not going to listen to that woman telling him, you are going into a storm. But he's like, well, we got this fish. And so do they want to let the fish rot, or do they want to go to town and sell it? And they want to sell it. They don't want to come back broke. And so you see where in that life it's kind of a tragedy, and they got pushed into it. And at the same time, you see in that part of the world, a lot of the fish stocks 100 years ago have already been depleted. And so they got to go way out to rough waters nobody wants to go near. just to catch fish. Like that wise guy was saying, oh yeah, there's a lot of fish out there if you're going to go that far, but you're going to probably get your boat sunk. I mean, it's where you start to find the less accessible parts of the world may be the last resources, but it's going to take a lot of resources just to get it. It would be like, blasting out a whole city just to get a little bit of coal underneath. I mean, that's where the movie started to show this. And so I think A Perfect Storm was very well made. And, you see a crew, and the crew did not always have the best morale. It had to be pushed, and this captain was the man for the job. And one thing that's a plus for the movie is this is based in Massachusetts. All the cast, I think, was Irish, except for the Jamaican guy in the boat. But, Massachusetts is a huge Irish community, and so I have more respect for the movie making it more accurate. And when they truly wanted to depict, the fishing industry in Gloucester and how dangerous it is, and, how many people have actually gone down with ships, and it's a huge number. You start to see this business, and you start to see, commercial fishing's a tough job. And if there's too many regulations, they can't fish, and then they just can't make money, and they can't do anything. And if there's, too many of them, then there's not going to be that many fish, and they're going to have to go way out to other places. And then if they use all this fuel and they can only catch a handful of fish, then it's going to be a huge problem because they won't make much money. And so the movie shows all this. And so because of that, I really think this is well done. And, it wasn't a movie with the big lines, but it did a good job at what it was supposed to do. And so, in the long run, it becomes a very well-made movie. And you see, how powerful the storm is where, washed over the coast. One of the Coast Guard guys was missing, and it was tough for the rescue. And you see a whole, a barrage of this. So this is good in the big screen. I mean, this movie is, about this huge storm. It is just, unbelievable. So I strongly recommend this, and thanks for watching.